one question that we get a lot is, can you use pictures that you've taken in the past? And that is fine to do. We do ask that you, even if they're from the past, to still sort of follow the guidelines as to what we want for the pictures, as far as, we want a lot of detail in the creatures. For the most part, we want them to be alive when you take the pictures. And then also we want you to know where and when you were when you took the picture of the creature. And sometimes if you're not exactly sure of the date, you could put a date range in there. That's okay too. Um, but we do want that information as well. So yeah, you can use old pictures. Well, I don't see anybody burning in through the phone lines to get in. So this might be it today. We appreciate you all coming. So we should introduce ourselves first. I'll let Dr. Chapman introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Chapman. I've worked in the entomology department since 2008, doing various things, but right now, most of my responsibilities are with the insect collection, of which I'm the collections manager. And I've been identifying insects for professionally or a hobby for probably over 30 years. So I really enjoy this kind of thing, and very happy to be involved with this class. So you have identification questions. I've got a lot of experience. I think, and it's really nice too, because Blake and I we don't have a lot of overlap in our expertise. So between the two of us, we cover quite a bit of ground. So we should be able, help you a lot with your identifications. So I'll answer more questions about my background when it comes up. Mostly, I'm a phylogeneticist and a taxonomist. So do a lot of DNA work, and I do a lot of publishing of faunal lists and keys and things like that.
All right.
I'll hand
Yeah,
it back
and
to you, Blake.
yeah, and Dr. Chapman is in particular, I always introduce him as a world expert in maybe not all of Coleoptera, but certain Coleoptera groups, especially the longhorn beetles. So if that's an area that you are interested in, wants to know more about, he is the resource, like not just in this class, but the resource. And also has a lot of expertise in a lot of other groups, aquatics, man, just about everything. So and how you'll see the class organized is that all of it's going to be on Zoom, through Zoom lectures. You'll see me a lot at the beginning. I do a lot of the organizational stuff, and I tell you sort of the rules and how to take pictures, how to set up things for the class. Hey, you guys, I realized I forgot to introduce myself on today's live Zoom session. So my name is Blake Newton, and I've worked in the Department of Entomology since the year 1996, and I've been in this job since the year 2000. I'm an extension specialist, and mostly I work with 4-H, and my main job is to help sort of spread the word about insects to Kentuckians, especially youth. And so I end up working a lot with agents who work with youth. And I also do quite a bit of identification for the department as well. And so that's one of the reasons I was interested in helping with this course. And then I will also do a lot of the stuff at the beginning, because of the way the course is organized. We kind of go through the sort of pseudo-evolutionary history of arthropods. And so I cover a lot of the non-insect arthropods. So you'll see me a lot at the beginning, and then you'll see Dr. Chapman more as we get into especially the big insect groups. So you may be wondering at the beginning, where's Dr. Chapman? And you will see actually more of him as we go. He probably does about, I don't know, maybe 70% of the total lectures. So he will show up. But the only things I wanted to talk to you guys about today is I don't want to go over too much of our sort of the introductory material, because there's a whole lecture on that you will have to go through. But I did want to highlight at least a couple of important things, especially some due dates. So I want to, and Dr. Chapman also just sent some due dates out to you. So I'm going to try to share my screen.
So hopefully everybody can see that. And if we still no new attendees, I think we're still it. Yeah, okay. So I'm not even gonna go through this whole thing. But so once again, this is our class. We'll try to show you our email addresses and on lots and lots of slides so that you, in case you have questions that you need to email either of us, you can also contact us through Canvas. And I believe we have it set up through so that if you contact us through Canvas, it will also send us an email. So either way really is fine with us. Yeah, so there are email addresses. So like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail here, but the goal of this class is to just learn about insect and arthropod diversity, especially in Kentucky. We want you to become familiar with these things, especially at the order and the family level. We want you to learn how to take good pictures of these things in case you need to share them with somebody else. We want you to be familiar with the creatures that are around us, especially, and you'll notice a lot of you guys are in extension. A lot of you guys, a lot of people that take this class are naturalists. So a lot of the people that take this class are people that work with other people. So we really try to place an emphasis on what is kind of the level of knowledge you need in order to communicate about these creatures, or to help people with these creatures if they show it to you or if they show you a picture of it. Dr. Chapman actually does help teach a traditional insect taxonomy course. In a traditional insect taxonomy course, you actually go out and collect and pin insects. And so this, otherwise though, we kind of do the same thing. We go through the whole kind of classification system of insects and arthropods. We see who's related to who. We talk about the order names and the family names. We talk about the things that characterize them. The differences, we do it all with pictures. So there are some pros and cons with that, and we'll talk more detail about the pros and cons. But just suffice to say that if you are very interested in the subject, we would highly encourage you to take a real taxonomy class as well, because you actually get a little bit more up close and personal with the parts, and you also get more experience with insect keys with those. We really don't use keys much in this class at all. We're not going to cover we're going to cover North American terrestrial arthropods. In other words, the things that live in Kentucky. We will cover some aquatic things as in freshwater, but this class does not cover saltwater crustaceans. There's a whole nother world of that stuff, but we're mostly talking about things that live inland. So insects and their relatives that live inland, especially kind of in Kentucky and the eastern United States. But I think you'll see that a lot of the stuff that we learn in this class applies to many parts of the world. We'll skip through some of this stuff. All of the content is going to be delivered through Canvas, other than these Zoom sessions, of which all but two are optional. And we're also going to try to arrange some meetings up with you guys if that works out. Sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. Like at some nature areas or something like that to take pictures. When we are able to make that work out, it's really fun, but sometimes we get rained out. But everything else, though, is going to be done through Canvas and on your own time, except for, as you will see, a couple of important due dates. Some things that you need, we tried to say this in the email, and you will see this in the Zoom lectures. But you really need a computer, and I'm sure everybody who's on this right now has a computer because you're watching it over Zoom. But we really encourage you to do this class with a computer or a laptop and not just a pad or a phone. Because and you can take almost all the pictures for this course on a good cell phone, but the editing part is pretty difficult without sitting down with a mouse and a keyboard. So it's really good to have computer access. You also need, of course, a computer to access Canvas and Zoom, but you also need some kind of image editing program. If you're not sure about those, email me and I will try to help you find some. There are some free ones that you get if you don't already have one built into your computer. You can use Photoshop, GIMP, Canva, Paint. There are several ones that you can use. And hopefully everyone is already sort of situated with some kind of digital camera for this class. Most of the images that you take can be done with just a decent, fairly recent smartphone. Most of our smartphones have pretty good up close, not exactly macro, but up close photo taking capabilities. And you could probably get away with about 90% of this class on just a smartphone with no special modes or anything. Just get up close to the bug, take a picture of it. But you can also use, if you have a better digital camera, like a handheld digital camera, or a an SLR camera. Those of you who are into photography know what that means. You're certainly welcome to use those as well. Now, and the exception to that is some smartphones or cameras may require an external macro lens. Especially maybe if you have an older phone, most handheld digital cameras will have a built-in macro lens. It'll usually be signified with a little flower on it. If you're having trouble finding that, let me know. But some of you practice with your phones and see how you do getting up really close to things like coins and leaves. And hey, bugs, get up close and take some practice pictures of bugs. And if you're finding you're having trouble getting detail, you will need an external macro lens. And we can recommend those to you, or even mail you a version that you kind of strap onto your phone. Unfortunately, that'll probably take, with the mail system, like 2 weeks to get to you. So you really want to get started a little more quickly than that. So that's some of the stuff you need. Just a little bit about grading. 40%, it's 500 total points. So this course is all about accumulating points. 40% of your points is all from assignments and your 2 required Zoom sessions. So as you go through the lectures, after each lecture, there will often be some kind of a question, a little assignment that you need to answer. And then there's 2 required Zoom sessions, and we'll describe that in a little bit more detail in a minute here. And then 20% of your points come from weekly quizzes. There are 8 of those. You don't actually have to do them every week, although it's a good idea not to get too far behind. But there are quizzes that correspond with each of the 8 weeks of class. And then a huge portion of your grade is your digital collection. If you're a grad student, I believe it's 80 images that you need to contribute. So that's a lot of images, and you need to get started now. And so that's 200 points. And then as an alternative, if you're really into the collection part of this, some people take this class kind of already knowing all of this stuff. And so they just want to take the pictures and identify a bunch of bugs. And what you can do instead is take more pictures, correctly identify them, and you can get 2 points per bug. And you can accumulate basically an infinite number of those to and that would take over your quiz and your module assignment. So you could do all your points through your digital collection if you wanted to, or you can do part of it as an extra if you want. If you don't understand what I mean by that, let me know. Oh, one point is that all of our quizzes that we give you, I mean, it's on Canvas, so we can't police you anyway, but we encourage you to use your notes. We want you to use the notes that you've taken. We want you to use Bug Guide and some of the other resources that we talk about to help you answer these questions. A big part of this is what are the resources that you use when you try to identify these things. So everything is open note and asynchronous, which means, like I said, you can take these things at any time. Aha. Our most important due dates. This is all in the lectures as well. So if you forget it, it'll be here on this recording, but also in the Zooms. But a very important one is this Friday. And some of you guys have already done this, but we want you to finish your assignment. It's called the Google folder assignment. It may not actually be the first assignment. I think it's the 3rd assignment or something like that. So hopefully you get a couple of other assignments done even before this one. But you definitely need to get this one done by May 23rd. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how to set up your Google system here in a minute. But the way you turn in pictures to us in this class is through a Google folder system that mimics the order, class, and family hierarchy of the creatures that we're studying. So that kind of needs to be done correctly so that the instructors can find the pictures that you take. And then May 30th, this is actually more of a UK rule than a class rule, but by May 30th, which is, I believe, something like exactly 2 weeks after class starts, you have to have completed at least one assignment or quiz on Canvas to avoid being dropped. That's actually a registrar rule. But if you get your Google folder assignment done, that will count for that. So please get your Google folder assignment done, and then you won't have to worry about that May 30th deadline. We need to make sure that people are participating in the class. And then by June 6th, I believe June 6th is a Friday, we are asking you in this class to attend exactly at least 2 Zoom sessions. And we're going to do Zoom sessions every week, but there's 2 of those weeks that we are asking you to be there for points. And June 6th would be one of those. And when I say required to be there, we will have a regular Zoom session that week. And that will be on Monday, whatever that day is. I guess that would be the 2nd or something like that. But the yeah, June 2nd would be but if you can't come to the regular Zoom meeting, you will need to schedule with us sometime during that week a one-on-one or one and both instructors, or however it works, Zoom session during that, and that's the 3rd week of class. So sometime during the 3rd week of class, we need to have a Zoom session with you, whether it's the regular weekly one or one that's just an individual one. And then June 13th, this is also very important. We are asking you to turn in a preliminary collection. And what we mean by turning in is basically you will already have your Google system built by then, and you will start filling it up with pictures. And I believe the requirement for the preliminary collection is that you have at least 25 different families identified and put in there. If you get some of them wrong, you're not going to lose points for that, but you will lose points for not attempting at least 25. And you will get no points if you turn it in late. This is an important due date for this class because we really want you to kind of get started early. We say this kind of over and over again, but although insects are common in Kentucky all summer, they're more common, more abundant, more diverse in late May and early June. That's your best time to find a bunch of stuff. So we want you to get started. And then June 27th, that's another Friday. That's when your required Zoom session 2 is due. That's the end of week 6. So sometime during that week, have another Zoom session with us. July 11th is your final collection. And then July 14th, I believe, is also a Monday. That's the dead end of class, and we want all other assignments, etc., to be cleaned up and completed by then. So a little bit about our weekly Zoom. Even though you're only required to attend weeks 3 and 6, we are going to have a Zoom every Monday at 1, unless you guys are welcome to email me if there's maybe times of the week that are really good for you to meet or times that are really bad. And if we get some kind of consensus that there's one magical time that works for everybody, we might change it from Mondays at 1. But what we have found in the past is that there is no time that is good. So if you all send me some dates or times if you want to just stick with Mondays at 1 and either come or watch the recordings, you can do that. But otherwise, we will plan to do Mondays at 1 p.m. for our weekly Zoom. And like I said, so June, the 3rd week of class, either meet with us on that regularly scheduled one at 1, or make sure to contact us, because we're not going to contact you individually. You need to contact us and say, hey, I can't come to the weekly Zoom that week. I need to go ahead and schedule some time to either Zoom with you or talk on the phone with you, because we want to make sure that people are on track with this class, because we have had some, and this happens a lot with asynchronous classes. People wait till the end, and that's a really bad idea for this class because of all these pictures that you have to take. I'm not going to go into too much detail about our collection requirements, except to say that 60 images for undergrads, 80 images for grad students. And what we mean by images is that generally is going to correspond to a family of either a non-insect arthropod or an insect arthropod. And most of it is going to be, we want you to take pictures of the creatures when they are still alive, because that's one sort of pro of this class compared to a taxonomy class, is that you are recording the creatures in their living stances and living colors. So you have a record of that. But there's a couple of exceptions. We are asking you to have 5 of your images where you take the pictures from different angles and highlight in photo editing their different body parts, their characteristics that distinguish them at the family level from their relatives. So those can be dead images, but most of your creatures should be alive. Please let me know if you have questions about the collection. We will talk a lot about the collection in the lectures that are coming up. And now I'm just going to go through a few images just to kind of show you what the images for your class will look like. So this is one that we just created as an example. For one thing, and we'll talk a lot about this in our Zoom lectures or in our Canvas lectures, but think about the good angles to take for these creatures that you're taking pictures of. Sometimes you might not know where the important characteristic is on the creature. Is it on their back? Is it on their side? Is it on their underneath? So sometimes it's a good idea to take multiple angles of them. Generally, we're not asking you to turn things upside down, although it's not necessarily a bad idea to get a picture from upside down as well. But a lot of times just a dorsal picture like this, where you're coming straight down on them from above, you have decent lighting, and you have them in pretty good focus, is gonna take into account most of your creatures. But we'll talk about some other good angles to take in one of the Canvas lectures. So take a good picture, and then we want this info box with each of your images that has the name of the course and summer 2025 in your all's case, your name, and then also if someone else took the picture. We mentioned in this class that 10% of your collection can be pictures taken by other people. So you can share pictures a little bit in this class, but most of the ones will be by you. But always put your name in the little box, and then if another person photographed it, also put the photographer's name on there as well. Then we want the place where you took the picture, an address or GPS coordinates, or just a nearby address is usually good. We want the date when you took the picture, not when you edited the picture, but when you actually took the picture. And then we want you to give an approximate size of the creature from the head to the tip of the abdomen, and just kind of do your best with that. It's a good idea to carry around a ruler with you, but a lot of these things will fly away before you can set a ruler next to them. So do your best to try to give size estimates. That just helps us out when trying to identify these. And then we want the class, the order, and the family for most of your creatures. There's a couple of exceptions that we'll go over, but most of the creatures you will have the class, the order, and the family written on there as well. And then, like I said, for 5 of your images, we are asking you to go into a little more detail. You actually take a specimen, get close to it, and point out the characteristics that it has that separates it from other families. So family level characteristics. And on these, we don't care about the date and the place where you found the creature. This can be a bug that you found in a ditch or in somebody's like a collection that somebody had stored in alcohol or something like that. It doesn't matter where you get the specimen. Just show it from different angles. Point out the characteristics. And in this case, we've got a longhorn beetle, and it's pointing out some of the characteristics on the legs and the antenna and the little eye notches there that are distinctive things on that particular family. We will have a whole Canvas video talking about how to do this. But if you have questions about it, please ask me. We're only asking you to do 5 of these. You can do more of these if you want, as part of your regular collection if it interests you. Now, what I want to show are sort of some good and bad images. And some that are kind of in between. For the bad ones, I have taken the student's name off of these, but these are actually all pictures from that have been submitted to this class. And so here's an example of one that's really not good enough for this class. It was probably taken very far away and then zoomed in digitally on an image editing software, and then you're just not left with enough detail here. We might be able to guess which family this is, just from the amount of experience that Dr. Chapman and I have had, but it's really not good enough. So a picture like this, we would probably we might give 1 point for getting the class and the order correct, because we can tell that from this image, but we wouldn't give family points for this. It's just not detailed enough. So that's kind of a benchmark for not good enough. Here's one it's like not quite. It's like we can tell what this is just from having seen so many of these, but you really need to be more up close and to get this creature in higher resolution. And we don't just mean zoom in digitally. That's not going to help anything. We need you to get the camera closer to take pictures of these things. So this is just a little bit too small, not enough detail for the purposes of this course. The person identified this as Drosophilidae. I'm pretty sure that's what this is, but not 100%. It's just not enough detail.
Can I interrupt for 1 second, Blake?
Sure.
Now, just a suggestion here, and we realize that a lot of insects are fast moving and won't give you a chance to get up close to them. However, if you can catch them and get them in some sort of little jar or vial or whatever, you can put them in your refrigerator for about 10 or 15 minutes and cool them down. And then you'll have a few minutes where you can actually take a picture. Now, of course, this won't be in the natural habitat, but at least you'll be able to cool them down enough that they're pretty docile for a few minutes while you take better images. And then you can just let them go. So just wanted to throw that in there just in case you're thinking about, well, how do we get so close to things that really want to fly away from you as fast as they possibly can? And that's one way to do it.
Yeah, that actually works really well. And the nice thing about that is even though it cools them down, usually they still are kind of usually still kind of hold themselves up in the same way they do while they're alive. So they still kind of look like a living, and they are alive, but they still look like they're a living creature. And sometimes when I do this, I'll actually set them on a leaf or something to where it looks a little more natural, just to make a nicer looking picture. But the main thing is to get up close and get the details. So cooling them down is a great trick. Here's another one that's not quite good enough. For one thing, the text box here is way too big. We don't need the text box that big. It's just taking up too much of the image. And this image is actually kind of pretty. It's kind of a nice image. But for one thing, there's two wasps here that I'm pretty sure are two different families. And I think they're talking about the one kind of in the upper section there. And I'm pretty sure they got this family right, Specidae. But again, this just isn't enough detail. The insect is not taking up enough of the image. You need to get closer than this. And then this is one it's just too blurry. It's up close enough, but there was probably not enough light, and the phone camera was probably not getting enough light and not focused. So something like this just doesn't have enough information, not enough detail for this class. And then here's an example of one of the things we ask you not to do when you're editing these things. Do not stretch or squeeze your images. Sometimes you will try to resize images to get them to fit into your editor. And you can definitely crimp things and crop them and resize them. Just make sure you can see how this bug, it's too thin. It's been squeezed digitally. Somebody squeezed this in to fit into a frame. And so it's distorted the shape of the bug. And the only reason I know that is, from one thing, just a lot of experience with image editing, but I just know that this creature is wider than this. It doesn't look right. So please do not accidentally stretch or squeeze your images when you are editing them. This also doesn't have enough detail. Here's one that's kind of in between. Like, the picture is not too bad. The focus is on the grass and stuff beneath the creature. And we can probably tell what this creature is, but for a lot of our creatures, especially dragonflies, we really kind of need to see the wing venation. And if this was focused just a little bit differently, we would have been able to see the wing venation on this, and it would have been a really good picture. But as is, Eric might be comfortable enough saying that this is Cordelia, but I am not. So this is probably not quite good enough for this class. Also, half of this picture is all text box. Like, there's no reason for that. We want more creature information. Get closer to your creature. Please don't minimize the resolution on a high resolution image so that you can squeeze in a huge text box. Now we're getting into, so this is an excellent image. This is up close. I do not know what kind of camera this person was using. I've got the real names of the people on these. I'll have to ask Emily what camera or phone that she was using. But some of your phones are perfectly capable of taking pictures this good. But she may have been using a handheld digital camera as well. But this picture is really nice. The insect is in focus. The background is out of focus, which is actually helpful because by putting that background out of focus, it actually makes the wing venation easier to see. So there's lots of excellent things about this image, that the creature is alive in its natural habitat, and we can see all these little wing veins. We can see all the structures on this creature. So this is a really, really good picture. Here's another one that's really good. The lighting on this is really good. It's kind of even overall lighting. The person didn't accidentally have their camera or their head shadowing the creature. So watch for your shadows when you're taking pictures of these things. And this creature has a lot of detail on it. So this is a really good image. Sometimes if you're not quite sure what angle to take your picture at, try several angles, and you can make a composite image like this. This is nice because all three of the images are all detailed enough to where we can see what's going on, and then we can also see it from multiple angles. So you're welcome to make like a collage too. Just make sure that each part of your collage is of high enough resolution that it shows the details. And by showing the details, a benchmark for that is, like, you can't see every hair on these things with these cameras that we're using, but a good benchmark is to be able to see the wing venation. So try to have these things with enough detail and enough focus that you can see, and enough resolution so that you can see the wing venation. Okay, and that's all I have there. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff so far? And the last thing I wanted to show you before letting you go, I wanted to show you your Google system a little bit. So for one thing, how to make it. For one thing, you will need a Google account. And hopefully you all already have a Google account. And by a Google account, we just mean a Gmail address. If you have a Gmail address, you have a Google account. And maybe you've already used Google Drive in the past. But if not, I'll show it to you here a little bit. So I've opened Google, and I believe I'm using Chrome, but I believe you can get to this from any browser as long as you start at the Google homepage. And then make sure that you are logged in. There's usually a place up here. I'm logged in right now, but there's a place up here to log into Google. And then when you are logged in, it shows you this little block of 9 little dots. And that's how to get to Drive. When you open Drive up, you will create new folder, and you will call that phylum Arthropoda. Where did my phylum go? Phylum. And after that, you're also welcome to put your name or ENT 520 or whatever, but make sure it says phylum Arthropoda. I'm going to go ahead and put my name. Sometimes your all's Gmail address names don't have anything to do with your regular name, and so it's sometimes a little bit hard to figure out. I can figure it out eventually by following the links, but especially if your name doesn't match up well with your Gmail address, maybe throw your name in here to this folder. So I'm going to create this folder. And where's the new one I just created? Here it is. I'm going to open this up. And here, so phylum Arthropoda is the folder I just made. Now I'm going to start making my class folders. So one of those would be class insecta. And then I would make 4 more of those. We're studying 5 of the classes in this. Arachnida is one, Malacostraca is one. So 5 of those. And then for your Google folder assignment, we also want you to add some orders. We don't want you to add all the orders yet. You can, but we want you to add some specific ones first. So here's class Arachnida. That's the class with spiders and scorpions and stuff. And so we also want you to add the orders to your Google folder system. The orders go inside the classes. So I would open class Arachnida. And now in here, there's 4 or 5 folders that we are asking you to put in. So one of those would be order Scorpiones, for the Scorpiones for the scorpion order. Another order Opiliones for the daddy long legs order, and so forth. And then once you get that, and there would be several that would go in here, and then within each of these folders, that's where your families go. And with your families, let me show you a completed one. So this is one of our students from a couple of years ago. This is what their completed folder system looked like at the end of class. So phylum Arthropoda, I'll see if I can go back to phylum Arthropoda here. Actually, it might not let me do that because of the way I looked it up. Come on. Let's go. All right, I'll just back up. Maybe that'll work. Okay, so it won't let me show you the top level there. But within your phylum Arthropoda, you have your 5 classes. And inside each of these, you will have orders. And then let's look at Insecta. So Insecta, that's not letting me open that either. What's going on here? There it goes. This is where you put all your insect orders. And there's about 30 orders of insects. We're actually only asking you to put in 20 or so. You will see a list of the ones we want you to add. You can add more if you think you need to, but this person went ahead and added all of them. But once you get into your order, so let's look at the bees, ants, and wasps order Hymenoptera. This is where you will put your families, and the families will not have folders. The families are just individual JPEG or PNG images. If that doesn't make sense, if you don't know how to make JPEGs or PNG images, please contact me. We have worked with people individually who maybe you're not familiar with how to set up a Google system, not familiar with how to make a Gmail address, not familiar with how to make a JPEG. Ask me those questions, and we can have Zoom sessions with you. But this is kind of what your final thing that you turn into us will look like. This is inside an order folder, and here are your family images. And so here's a bunch of family level images, and so each of these is what we grade. So that's what your Google system looks like. We are also asking you to turn in a data collection sheet. It will open up, yeah. So we have in your Google resource files a blank Excel sheet. I think it's just called insect data sheet blank. And this is where you will write down all of the creatures that are in your Google folder system. This is so that we can grade it and write notes down. So it'll look something like this. And this is actually the rubric. And the rubric is available in there as well. So there's a blank one and a rubric one. Rubric just means it shows what a filled out one looks like. And so we've got the class, the order, and the family for each image going down through about 80 images. In this case, it was 88 images. Actually, it wasn't 88 images. There's blank spaces in here, so it's probably 80 images exactly. All right, so those are all the details I can think of. Like I said, we've already spent 40 minutes. I didn't want to take up your whole day with this since we go through almost all of the same stuff again in the lectures on Canvas. Well, if nobody else has any questions, I guess we'll let you guys go. Dr. Chapman, anything else?
Can't think of anything. I think you covered plenty.
Yeah. All
But
right.
we're always here and we're always happy to help. So, however you want to communicate with us is fine. Email, Zoom, whatever. I take phone calls. I don't care.
And we can usually get to you pretty quickly. Unless one of the two of us is out of town, and we think we have it figured out so that at least one of us will be in town at all times during the summer. We don't mind getting on with you fairly short notice. All right, well, I guess that's it. I'm going to try to make turn this recording into actually a YouTube video and send you all the links to it. So, but most of the stuff that we covered will be repeated in the Canvas sessions. All right, well, I guess we'll see you all later. Get started taking pictures of bugs. Do it today. It's a beautiful day outside. It's actually a little overcast, but not raining. That's actually a really good time to take pictures. So get started.